India has really defeated the Pakistani capability to retaliate or to strike upon India. Pakistan was left without a choice but to sue for ceasefire. The situation is crystal clear. One side was defeated, that was Pakistan, and the other side has won a clear-cut victory. The Chinese social media is booming and exploding and discussing this air battle on 7th of May. Pakistani social media is doing the same. What are talking about this air battle? NIDA is talking about 9 terror camps in Pakistan which were targeted precisely by the Indian Air Force. NIDA is talking about what has happened afterwards, about all the Pakistani efforts to hit upon India failing. None is talking about Indian airstrikes on Pakistani air bases and targeting highly sophisticated command center, well-protected air defense systems, highly sophisticated air defense system, disabling them to a combination of electronic warfare, decoys, and direct strikes.
Can Pakistan be trusted with nuclear weapons?
Let me tell you something that appears to be unknown in India. I've been in touch with people who have served over there, and they're the first say, these are veteran US armed forces officers. They have served in Pakistan and were guarding Pakistani nuclear weapons facilities. So this is the level of security in that country, that some other country must bring its troops to protect its nuclear weapons facilities. The country is not really stable, politically stable, that there could be unrest, that the country might fall apart, that nobody knows who within the establishment, what of the jihadists and who from the inter-service intelligence might take over, who might bring under control what of nuclear facilities in Pakistan. Therefore, yes, there is a good reason to have serious concerns about the safety of Pakistani nuclear facilities. It is about the time to accept reality, stop daydreaming, because they are daydreaming for decades already about how they are super powerful and China is protecting them, and Turkey is protecting them, and United Arab Emirates are protecting them, and Qatar is protecting them even more, and everybody is financing them, and Pakistan is superpower and whatever else. No, they have to become realistic and say to themselves first, and then to the Pakistani public, sorry guys, we are in trouble. We are bankrupt, we are military defeated.
China is not the all-weather friend that Pakistan makes it out to be.
Far from that. There used to be the strategic alliance between Pakistan and China. Pakistani establishment is so busy fighting wars with India that it has squandered billions for nuclear weapons, for weaponry which its armed forces cannot properly use, as we have seen now between 8th and 10th of May, but not into economic development. Therefore, they are not interesting for Beijing anymore.
Prime Minister Modi has said every inch of Pakistan is within reach of Indian military now. Very strong message, whether it hits home in Pakistan or not. But what is the messaging that has gone out to the world?
India has disarmed the nuclear retaliation capability of Pakistan. I cannot emphasize this strongly enough. What is Modi trying to do is trying to shake the Western governments and explain them, make them aware of these new realities.
Hi, you're watching The Times of India. I'm joined by air warfare historian Tom Cooper. He's joining us all the way from Austria. Tom, you've spoken a lot in recent days on the entire India-Pakistan conflict and how India's Operation Sindoor has been a clear win against Pakistan. But the fog of war is a really weird thing. It makes you doubt, and which is what is happening in the Western media, even visual proof, and it's staring right at you in the face.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Nice to be with you. Yes, it is a strange situation. I'm so to say surrounded by colleagues drawing different conclusions where I don't know what are they basing their information upon. And it goes so far that I wonder, I would actually be happy if somebody would come up and challenge me with some sort of serious information or evidence that I'm wrong. But so far, all I get to see is that my conclusions are right, that India has really defeated the Pakistani capability to retaliate or to strike upon India, and that India has then started striking very carefully selected points inside Pakistan. Pakistan was left without a choice but to sue for ceasefire. And now, okay, Delhi has said we are going to make a pause in our operations, and what I'm now receiving as information is that Indian armed forces are all the time carefully monitoring well inside Pakistan, because we are talking here about distances of 80, 100, 150, 200 kilometers inside Pakistan, and India is carefully monitoring developments and what are the Pakistanis doing different to their military bases all the time already for meanwhile 6-7 days. So the situation is crystal clear. One side was defeated, that was Pakistan. The other side has won a clear-cut victory. What are the politicians going to do with this situation is a different story. That is, we are going to see. But what are the, especially Western analysts, doing with this military experience and this new situation in South Asia? This is something I do not understand. Obviously, it is going to take them at least time, at least days, more likely weeks, to figure out, this was not just a little bit damage here or there, but one side has knocked out the other side's capability to strike upon, in this case, upon India.
There is visual proof being presented by both sides.
Yeah.
When you're saying that what is the visual proof that they are seeing of Pakistan's equal superiority, military superiority? Because they seem to be sort of hyphenating India and Pakistan, and even Trump talked about warding off a nuclear conflict. Really, because India has been very clear. It's the Pakistani DGMO which called the Indian DGMO on the evening of May 10th, and that was it.
I understand the feeling of fear. I mean, if you excuse me, I'm living in Austria, thousands of kilometers away, and I was concerned about how is this going to turn out. And I was relieved when I figured out that India has found out the way to disable the Pakistani air defense system and strike wherever it wants, and especially the strike on Kirna Hills. This was, oh gosh, finally, Why? Because it meant New Delhi feels so safe to target such a place. This means New Delhi is 1,000 or 5,000% sure Pakistan cannot hit back. But to come back to your original question in this case, what do we see? We see lots of videos and photographs appearing in the social media. And here is now important to distinguish. In the Indian social media, there is very little appearing in the Pakistani social media, even less so in Chinese social media. The Chinese social media is booming and exploding and discussing this air battle on 7th of May. Pakistani social media is doing the same. Both are talking about this air battle. Neither is talking about 9 terror camps in Pakistan which were targeted precisely by the Indian Air Force. Neither is talking about what has happened afterwards, about all the Pakistani efforts to hit upon India failing. None is talking about Indian airstrikes on Pakistani air bases and targeting highly sophisticated command center, well-protected air defense systems, highly sophisticated air defense system, disabling them to combination of electronic warfare, decoys, and direct strikes. Nobody's talking about this. And nobody's talking about strikes on Kirna Hills nuclear weapon storage site. They are all just talking, about essentially 6 or 7 photographs taken by Indian social media. And what is also funny, they accept these photographs confirming their narrative about a big air battle of 7th of May on basis of photographs and videos released by the Indian social media. But if this Indian social media then releases a photograph of a shot down GF-17 of Pakistani Air Force or of a Mirage, I don't know if it was Mirage 3 or 5 of the Pakistani Air Force, now that is fake. So they're picking cherries, They're picking cherries, and that both in Pakistan, but especially in China. And they do not even see how ridiculous their own behavior is, because you can't say, Indian photographs and videos which are showing Indian losses are okay, but Indian photographs and losses which are showing Pakistani losses are not okay. Come on, this is unserious, really.
Yeah, you have said that the fighting ended after India hit the entrance of this suspected Pakistani nuclear site. What is your assessment of what happened after that? What really made Pakistan backtrack and literally plead for ceasefire?
Uh, it is the simple conclusion, even in this crazed frenzy atmosphere in Islamabad. There was panic over there already on 8th of May. I know this from private sources. And this panic continued spreading. And then obviously there was a sort of meeting at the top. And this meeting concluded, they are left without methods to retaliate. Their own counterstrikes on India are unsuccessful, and they have left without means to hit back up on India. What then happened with these two ballistic missiles, which were fired early on 10th of May, I don't know, or know how has that happened. But at that point in time, decision makers in New Delhi have decided, okay, we are feeling safe, we are feeling comfortable with the situation, but we want to end it now before the others on the other side in Islamabad escalate even further, strike these two entrances on an undeclared nuclear weapon storage site, because Pakistan has never officially informed New Delhi, even though it should, that this is a nuclear weapon storage site over there. So strike the entrances, block them. In this fashion, Pakistanis couldn't even say, hey, you have flown a direct strike on a nuclear facility. No. India has hit the entrance to this facility.
What would you consider as the most defining factor?
I've seen satellite photographs of Kirna Hill facility back in 2017-18. And there's this huge complex, and I memorized this. There's a huge complex of big thick concrete bunkers, whether this is ammunition facility or some of bunkers are probably shelters for these huge trucks, so-called transporter erector launchers, which are carrying ballistic missiles and erecting them and then firing them. So I memorized this place as such. And then I've heard in between sometimes Kirna underground facility. Somebody's digging over there, constructing something. I don't know if it was constructed before or after. I have to check this yet. There was a video showing, excuse me, now I'm following this with my eyes the way I followed that video, showing a Brahmos coming down. Boom. And then another one. Boom. Okay, let's geolocate this. What is this? Hill. I know this hill. This is on that satellite photo from 2017 or 18. Okay, have confirmed, have cross-checked the video with maps, with Google Earth maps and Simba maps. It was clear, Kirna Hills. And now, then there was this realization. If New Delhi dares hitting that place, this huge, highly important, strategically important Pakistani military nuclear facility, then New Delhi is feeling absolutely confident. Indian top commanders are very, very conservative in their behavior, or at least even if there is somebody who is daring and trying to do something, the politicians are always, pressing him from above and stopping him, preventing him from going too far. There are generals who are making recommendations. Let's try them hard. Let's do this. No. It was always from New Delhi, from the politicians. No, don't do that. We are the nice guys. We are going to solve this diplomatically, and so on and so on. So at the same time, military education of Indian generals is such that it is making them conservative and very cautious in how they conduct operations, how they are running operations. They are almost like playing chess, They're thinking 10, 15, 20 steps in ahead, and that in 15 different variants before they take their decision. So these people do not strike a nuclear weapon storage facility easily. When they do such a thing, and there was a clear video showing, they have thought this already 15, 20 steps in advance. And they have then called somebody who did the same, also taught this 15 to 20 steps in advance. And they have both concluded, and not only the two, but 5, 10, 15 of them, they have all drawn the same conclusion, which is, we are safe to do this. Go and make it. And this is what then convinced me, New Delhi is feeling safe to do such things. And then, don't forget, convincing even Prime Minister Modi to do such a thing. I mean, one can criticize politicians, and I'm the first to criticize them fiercely about anything. But convincing a politician to take responsibility for such an operation, this was theoretically, if there was any kind of trace of Pakistani ability to still hit back on India with a nuclear weapon, believe me, Modi wouldn't have dared doing this. So this means that his generals, the Indian armed forces generals, have convinced him absolutely that India is safe. And if India is feeling this safe in such a superior position, then it is in such a clearly superior position. Correspondingly, simple deduction, it's a clear-cut victory. Hands down, thank you very much.
Can Pakistan be trusted with nuclear weapons? India has already made an appeal to the global nuclear watchdog.
I mean, Pakistani nuclear weapons, let me tell you something that appears to be unknown in India. I've been in touch with people who have served over there, and they're the first say these are veteran U.S. armed forces officers. They have served in Pakistan and were guarding Pakistani nuclear weapons facilities. So this is the level of security in that country, that some other country must bring its troops to protect its nuclear weapon facilities. I mean, then now ask me about security of these facilities. For 25 years, or almost 25 years now, there are studies published in the West. You can find them online. The latest is from around 2017, warning about the safety of nuclear facilities in Pakistan, warning that the country is not really stable, politically stable, that there could be unrest, that the country might fall apart, that nobody knows who within the establishment, what of the jihadists and who from the inter-service intelligence might take over, who might bring under control what of nuclear facilities in Pakistan. Therefore, yes, there is a good reason to have serious concerns about the safety of Pakistani nuclear facilities.
Given their proliferation record in the past also,
yes,
do you have a message for IAEA or the international nuclear body, watchdog, anything that you want to say to them about Pakistan's nuclear weapons? What must be done?
That would be go there and check this facility as soon as possible and leave somebody over there, at least cameras with 24/7 monitoring, in order to secure that there is somebody in protecting these facilities, because it is right now. I'm also not sure what is going on over there. I guess that at the entrances to this underground facility in Kirna Hills, Pakistanis are currently digging through the rubble and trying to free the doors, to free the ways to the doors, to approach to the doors, so they can enter facility or get out of it again. But that can easily take days.
India has decisively said that it won't succumb to Pakistan's nuclear blackmail anymore. What is the message that Pakistan should be taking out of this, and what do you think they will take the message as seriously as it's been given?
Ideally, Pakistanis will now say, okay, we have lost. We have been defeated to a degree where we cannot even fire a single ballistic missile on India without this being shot down. We are so far defeated that we cannot even be sure we could bring one of our nuclear warheads from its storage site to the aircraft or missile, install it on it without being hit in the process. And then also without being able to, if we manage to install this warhead on an aircraft or a ballistic missile and send it in direction of India, that they are not going to be intercepted and shot down. So we have a big trouble. India has abrogated the Indus Water Treaty. India has targeted our facilities. Okay, we have no nuclear deterrent anymore. We have no means of retaliation. It is about the time to accept reality and stop daydreaming, because they are daydreaming for decades already about how they are super powerful, and China is protecting them, and Turkey is protecting them, and United Arab Emirates are protecting them, and Qatar is protecting them even more, and everybody is financing them, and Pakistan is superpower and whatever else. No, they have to become realistic and say to themselves as first, and then to the Pakistani public, sorry guys, we are in trouble. We are bankrupt. We are military defeated. We cannot recover our deterrent. we have to seriously negotiate with New Delhi and stop this jihadism. This, I call it jihadism, jihad import export, what they are doing, because they are running this business for 60 years, and that from Nigeria to the Philippines, that would be, with other words, a fundamental change of politics, of strategy of Pakistan. That is what is necessary. Instead, what we see them doing is climbing on the top of tank and celebrating a victory and discussing 7th of May instead of what's happened, what led to this 7th of May and what happened after.
Russia, you mentioned China and the support of China and the support of Turkey. Now, while Turkey, unlike Turkey, China has not openly come out in support of Pakistan.
No.
What's your assessment? What's the Chinese play here? Because the Russian FM Lavrov, just today he said that the West is trying to drive a wedge between India and China, pointing to, of course, the developments in India and Pakistan.
China has its own interests, and these are foremost of economic nature. For them, for the Communist Party of China, it's crucial to improve the living standards of its population, so to keep this population quiet, in order to prevent it from turning against it. For this, they need good commercial connections all over the world. This is the priority. Point is, they have tried to do that with Pakistan. They have tried to construct this Silky Way and so on, new Silky Road or whatever they called it. And what happened, the officials have been attacked in Pakistan several times, to the degree that Beijing then said, okay, you know what, then we are not going to invest in your country. And we are not going to continue providing you any kind of loans. That is what happened last year. Beijing has turned down a Pakistani request. And what happened in return? Pakistan ended begging from IMF for another loan. This was granted.
Yes, but IMF has been kind and given them another tranche.
No. This was not being kind. This was Qatar paying for Chinese weapons or weapons deliveries to Pakistan. So this is money. This is profit. Why? Because Qatar has enough money to pay for Pakistani weapons. Why is Qatar doing that? Because Pakistani military officers and other ranks are serving in Qatari armed forces. Why is that important? Because Qatar feels threatened by Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates because of its politics via and so on. Okay, so you understand the situation. But again, this was pure commercial deal. Had Qatar not paid, Beijing wouldn't deliver. It's as simple as that.
Right. So what you're suggesting is that it's all about the money for China.
Yes.
China is not the all-weather friend that Pakistan makes it out to be.
Far from that. There used to be this strategic alliance between Pakistan and China, as long as China was still backward, in industrial backward. That was in 80s, 90s. Then it required this Pakistani know-how in Western standards and quality standards in particular, and what is necessary in terms of combat capability of its weapon systems and so on. But these times are long since over. Nowadays, Pakistan is almost surplus for China. It is interesting only because in the case China might need it, if there are some kind of border tensions or crisis or whatever with India, then China might find it opportune to use Pakistan to press India from the other side to keep its armed forces busy. But otherwise, Pakistan is economically and thus financially not interesting for China anymore. Nowadays, China is more interested in replacing the United States as a European partner, and buying ever more, or actually bribing ever more of African governments or other governments around Asia, or not to talk about Latin America. They're trying to establish themselves in presence of new markets. But that is the problem. Pakistani establishment is so busy fighting wars with India that it has squandered billions for nuclear weapons, for weaponry which its armed forces cannot properly use, as we have seen now between 8th and 10th of May, but not into economic development. Therefore, they are not interesting for Beijing anymore.
Turkey. What is Turkey's game in this entire thing? Because India has taken strict action against certain
company, yes, for Turkish company, yes.
Yes, for coming out completely in support of a terror state, really a state that sponsors terror.
Look, Turkey used to be almost a country that could join the European Union by the quality of its politics. And then there was actually the European establishment made a mistake in supporting Erdogan and bringing him to power. This is absurd. Actually, European establishment in cooperation with Turkish Kurds. So now he has established, he has dismantled Turkish democracy in the similar fashion like Trump is doing in the United States or Orban is doing it in Hungary. And he is essentially exactly like Trump, just after money. So what he's doing all the time is...
What is the convergence between Turkey's agenda and Pakistan's agenda?
I'm going to explain you. Just a second. I'm trying to define you the backgrounds and context.
Got it, yeah.
Erdogan is after money. And if that means, for example, there is an opportunity, business opportunity in India, he's then going to get one of his buddies involved in this business. He's going to sign a contract with India. Erdogan is going to get his cut and everything is fine. This is how it works in Turkey. That means Erdogan is favoring his buddies, and they are getting major contracts, cashing, and he's receiving his cut from such contracts. Whoever pays, whether it's India or Pakistan. And so in this case, we have one of Turkish companies providing services to specific airports in India. On the other hand, at the same time, other Turkish companies were manufacturing this brand new headquarters system. It is command center for the integrated air defense system for Pakistani Air Force. Not to talk about other companies, Turkish companies selling UAVs, big numbers of UAVs to Pakistan as far as Qatar was ready to pay for them, and so on. And you have this actually triangle, because it's Turkey, which is manufacturing, delivering technology, Qatar, which is financing all of this, and Pakistan, who is receiving this. This is how it works. And so that way you have the circle. Qatar is financing. They don't mind paying a lot because they are influencing. No, they're influencing, they think in this fashion, they are influencing this political Islam. They're supporting political Islam. And they, whether intentionally or because they are just stupid and naive, excuse me for expression, they are supporting this political Islam in Turkey because Erdogan is Islamist. Actually, he's misusing religion as much as Pakistani regime is doing that. But this is, for Qataris, it doesn't matter. He's kind of working their interest. Just like Qataris go to Europe or to the United States and bribe our governments, our members of parliament, or members of European Parliament to get special privileges and so on. Although at the same time, all our security agencies here in Europe, warning already for over a decade that Qatar is the biggest sponsor of extreme Islam in Europe. Nobody's listening to that. Okay, nice, fine. It was point A. Let's now put it to point Z and let's see something else.
Prime Minister Modi, coming back to India, Pakistan, and what next? Prime Minister Modi has said every inch of Pakistan is within reach of Indian military now. Very strong message. Whether it hits home in Pakistan or not, but what is the messaging that has gone out to the world? On one side, there's a rogue state. On the other side, there is a responsible democracy.
Theoretically, he's trying to wake up, to shake out of their sleep the Western governments, to make them understand that there is a fundamentally different situation between Pakistan and India now. Until just, 90 days ago, there was a strong and powerful nuclear-powered Pakistan on one side and similarly strong, powerful India on the other side. But they were seen as equal. And now Pakistan is more or less, equal to military protectorate of India, excuse me for expression. It is really so far, because India has disarmed the nuclear retaliation capability of Pakistan. I cannot emphasize this strongly enough. So what is Modi trying to do is trying to shake the Western governments and explain that, make them aware of these new realities. And I don't know whether he's going to be successful or not. It might be so. The problem is not following. There are people like me, but who are not as independent as I am, but who are paid by governments, by intelligence services, by corporations, who are constantly analyzing the situation and providing their reports up the chain of command. Whatever it is, military, intelligence, commercial, government, doesn't matter. So now it's the question, are they going to realize what has happened? Are they going to be sincere, or are they going to report what their superiors want them to report? If they continue reporting what their superiors want them to report, it's going to take endlessly long for India to make the West understand the new reality of the situation. If they are at least a little bit sincere, it's going to take weeks or months. And what is most unlikely is that they are going to promptly explain what has happened, and then it's going to take hours or days. It's as simple as that. It sounds awful, but this is how it works in military and security business. Whoever pays more is getting what he or she wants to hear. That means if, for example, Trump wants to hear that Pakistan has a fantastic guys and so on, then he's going to get corresponding reports. Excuse me.
As everyone says, the history is always written by the person who has more cash in his pockets, right? But anyway, thank you so much for those perspectives, Tom. We hope to speak to you again.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Nice to be with you.